I'm gonna give you all a couple of seconds so you can turn your cameras on and get everything set. Please, everyone, are on. I need everyone to turn them on. Okay, thank you so much to those of you who are already with their cameras on. Please, the rest of you guys. Okay, thank you. We're gonna give Miguel and Alejandra a couple of seconds. Okay, guys. So first of all, welcome to this TOEFL preparation course here at Executive English. Thank you so much for joining the course. I really hope that you find it useful. We're going to be preparing you guys for the TOEFL test. And today we're going to have a brief introductory session. It's not going to be an actual class. We're not going to talk about, we're not going to be covering the actual content of the course, but instead we're going to be going over the details of the course, everything that you guys have to know before starting the actual, before starting class tomorrow. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Okay? All right, so the first thing that I have to say is that, well, it's actually what I was just telling you. I was asking you to turn your cameras on, and that's something that I'm gonna be doing constantly. Because it's something that I've been told, it's something that comes from administration. And to be honest, it's something that's gonna benefit both of us. So you guys, I mean, we've been doing this for a while, and we've seen that students who have their cameras on are obviously more likely to be present in class. I know how it is and how it feels to be taking online classes, and it's perfectly normal to get distracted with so many things that we have around us, right? It's perfectly fine to sometimes think that you can be doing two things at the same time. But the truth is that when you're actively participating in class, and it kind of forces you to be there and to be present. So it is really necessary that everybody has their cameras on during class. It's something that I'm going to be reminding you guys to do in the beginning of classes. And it's a policy that we have. So you guys need to try to make it. Of course, it's totally fine if there's ever a case in which you're not able to turn your camera on for X or Y reason. That's fine as well. But I'm just going to ask you to please let me know so that I can take that into consideration. Okay? So that was the first thing that I needed to say. Do you guys have any questions about this? No? Okay. Now, first thing, let's talk about this class. So we are going to be having classes in the week through Tuesdays through Fridays. okay? Tuesdays through Fridays. So we actually have only 4 classes a week. We do not have scheduled classes on Mondays. Today is Monday and we're having this extra session, but starting next week, all classes are held from Tuesdays to Fridays. Okay, so no classes on Mondays, except maybe when there's a holiday. For example, I think this Thursday, we have a holiday, right? Because of the, I'm not sure what it is. So we're probably not gonna be having class on Thursday, and we're probably gonna be moving that class to Monday, next Monday. But those are exceptions, right? Regularly, we wouldn't be having classes on Mondays, except the first week today. And if there's ever a class that we have to make up for, then we tend to move it to Mondays. Okay, but regularly, classes are held Tuesdays through Fridays at 8 p.m. Bolivia time. Okay, that's important as well. Is there anybody here who's not living in Bolivia right now? Or who's not from Bolivia? No, everybody's from Bolivia? Okay. Nice. Usually sometimes like every group has 1 or 2 or 3 students that are not from Bolivia, but it's interesting that now everybody's from here. Okay, guys. So, does anyone remember how many weeks we're gonna be having of class? How long does this course last?
Not exactly. Could you please tell us now?
Okay, sure. So this course lasts a total of 6 weeks. Okay, and if we're gonna be having 6 weeks of class, that means that we will have in total how many classes?
24.
Exactly. So we'll be having 24 classes, and I'm not counting today's. And out of these 24 classes that we'll have, 1 hour class, half of them are gonna be theory classes. That means that we'll have 12 theory classes and 12 practice classes or practice sessions. Now, as you may guess, during our theory classes, what we're going to be doing is going over the theory behind the TOEFL test. So what do I mean by that? As any other standardized test, preparing for the TOEFL exam or preparing for any other English exam or standardized exam in general requires from you guys to know the format of the test, right? So first you have to be familiarized with the types of questions, the format, the length of the test, the way that it's scored, the way that your responses are evaluated, and so forth. So all of that is the theory, right? And obviously during our theory classes, we'll also be looking at some sample responses, tips and hacks and strategies for answering the questions. In the case of the reading, I'm sorry, in the case of the speaking and the writing section, we'll be looking at templates and so forth. So we'll be doing all that during our theory classes. And on our practice sessions, we'll be practicing. So it's gonna be dedicated mostly uh, to practicing the different questions that we see on our theory classes. So the way we're gonna organize this is Tuesdays and Thursdays are gonna be for theory, and on Wednesdays and on Fridays we'll be having our practice sessions. Okay, so we see theory Tuesday, next day on Wednesday we'll be practicing what we saw. Okay, is this okay? Do you guys have any questions about this so far? Okay, another thing I wanted to say, every single class will be recorded. And today's class is also being recorded, as you probably can see. And we'll have a YouTube channel where you will find all of the recordings for all classes that we had. And you will have access to this YouTube channel even after the course is over. You will find the link to this channel in the description of the WhatsApp chat group that we have. So it'll be there. It's not there right now because, well, today's our first class, but it'll probably be there tomorrow, I think. So you will find it there. Okay. Another thing I wanted to say, Well, preparing for an standardized exam requires a lot of practice. And as you can see, we have half, right? Half theory, half practice. But from like preparing for the test myself and also preparing the students for the test, preparing for the TOEFL exam requires more practice than it does theory. So what I'm trying to say here is that I really suggest that you guys practice on your own as well. I mean, having 2 practice sessions a week is not enough. I'd say that preparing for this type of exam is 20% theory, 20% knowing what to do and how to do it, and 80% practicing and with real questions, right? So try to practice on your own as well. The good thing is that you have each other and you have the WhatsApp group chat, so maybe you can find a study partner here or a study buddy and go through the process, you know? So so yeah, those are some things that I wanted to say uh now. So what do you guys think? Do you have any questions before we move on? Okay, guys. So this is a little bit about me. I'm gonna introduce myself. As you can see on the screen in my video camera, my name is Andrea de la Torre. You can call me Andrea. And well, I am an ESL teacher, an ESL tutor, and a TOEFL instructor as well. So I've been teaching ESL for over the past 4 years. And well, I am certified by TOEFL Universal. And well, more specifically, during the past 3 years, I've been focusing a lot on the TOEFL exam. I've been working here at the company at Executive English for the past 2 years, a little bit more than that. And of course, I took the TOEFL test myself. And you can see a screenshot of my scores, or of the scores that I got here on my screen. So I actually got 114 out of 120. That's the score that I got. And I also have like a screenshot of the of my sub scores, the scores that I got in each section. And this is the current version of the TOEFL test, by the way. So I guess those are the relevant things that I can share about me. I learn English as a second language as well. My native language is Spanish, maybe most of you. And yes, I guess that's what I could say. I don't know if you guys have any questions about me, anything that you'd like to know, anything you're interested in asking. No questions? Okay, guys. Now, of course, this is a TOEFL preparation course. We cannot start without knowing what the TOEFL IBT is. So, what do you guys know about the TOEFL test? You can tell me anything you know. I don't know, maybe some of you guys have already taken the test. I don't know if that's the case for some of you. Is it? Has anybody already Dario, you took the test, right? So what can you tell us about the test?
I think it's a pretty not difficult test, but it has a lot of tricky questions. Uh, I have had 80 out of 120, and I don't know. I think that TOEFL test it's a pretty boring test. I think it's 3 hours of taking a test that you have to be so concentrated. I think the most difficult part is reading, and yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, Dario, thank you so much for sharing your experience. Can I ask when you took the test, when did you take it?
Uh, Last year on 2022.
Okay, and when are you planning on taking the test now?
I think on October maybe or September, and yeah.
All right, great. So I actually have good news for you. The test now, well, not right now, but starting July 26th, I don't know if you've read about it, but it's gonna be shorter. right? So it used to be 3 hours, and it is right now 3 hours long. But starting July 26th, it will be shorter. It will only last 2 hours, a little bit less than 2 hours. So maybe
Wow,
that
so it's going to be less reading
exactly, yes.
because it was like 5 readings and 4 listenings, or four readings and 5 listenings, maybe. 2 speaking questions, integrated and independent, maybe, and 2 writings. The
Mhm.
one that I took.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, goes around that. Yes, in the reading section, right now you have 3 or 4 passages, right? Depending on how many questions you get in the listening. But starting July 26th, you'll only have two. So it is going to be shorter. It
Oh,
stays the same. We're going to talk about those changes, but yeah, it'll be shorter.
okay, that's nice. Thank you.
Anybody else that's taken the test before? Okay, guys. Well, the TOEFL exam, the TOEFL test is obviously an English exam. It's an standardized test. That means that it's the same no matter where you take it. It has the same format, the same structure, and that's what allows us to prepare for this type of exams, right? Because if we didn't know the format, then we wouldn't be prepared. So it's an acronym. It stands for Test of English as a Foreign Language. So I think that says it all. It's an English test that people who learn English as a foreign or as a second language take. It's not taken by native speakers. And why do people take this test? Because it's usually required when they are trying to either study or work abroad, right? Study or work, not necessarily abroad, but in any context in which English may be required as in an academic context. Now, IBT, and this is important, is actually only one of the versions of the TOEFL test because being the TOEFL test such a big exam, you have different versions of it. And the IBT, the internet-based test, is only one of them. It's the one that you take through the internet using a computer. It is the most common one. It is the one academic test that or version of the test that you have. And it is probably the one that you guys are going to be taking. But it's always good to check. So make sure that the IBT is the one that you need to take, that you want to take, because there are other versions, right? Here in Bolivia, the only one that is administered is the IBT. So, there's no room for error in that sense. But in other countries, you have access to other types as well. There's the TOEFL Essentials, the PPT, the PDT, and there are some other versions too. But this course is specifically for the TOEFL IBT. Okay, the format is different among the different versions of the test. So, is that okay? Do you guys have any questions about this? No? Okay. By the way, I guess something that is also necessary to say is that although this is like a big English exam, it is not the only one. There are the three most known, most valid English exams. The TOEFL is one of them. The other one is the IELTS exam and the Cambridge exam. Okay, those are the three most common, the traditional ones. But of course, as time goes by, there have been a lot new tests coming out. So right now you have the Duolingo test, the Pearson exam. There are many more, but the TOEFL, the IELTS, and the Cambridge exam are usually the most recognized, known, and the traditional ones. Okay. Okay, guys. Now this is also important so that you have some context. The company that makes the TOEFL exam, that administers it, is the ETS, the Standardized Testing Service. So it's the same company that also makes other tests that maybe some of you guys took, like the GRE, the SAT. It basically makes standardized exams. Now, that's not really that relevant. The only thing that I want you guys to be familiar with is that name, right? ETS. because I'm gonna be using that term in class. And whenever I tell you, so this is, you can find this in the ETS website, or this is official from the ETS, then you have to know that the ETS is just the company that makes the test, right? You can check out their website, ets.org, I think it is. And well, you'll find a lot of good stuff there. Now, one thing that is important to say, when you guys register for the test, and by the way, you have to do it through the official ETS website. When you go and register for the test, you will find that they will give you two options. You can choose if you want to take the test at home, but that's called the home edition test. Or if you want, you can go to an authorized test center. They will tell you where in your city where you will be able to take the test. Now, test centers, I mean, there are many of them. Here in Bolivia, like for example, I live in Cochabamba. You have the ASB, you have the CBA, those are the two ones. I think UPB is another one, I don't know. And there are more depending on the city you're living in. And if you don't want to go to a test center, you can also take it at home on your own computer, in your room, at your desk. You have that option. Now, the thing is, maybe some of you guys are wondering, so what should I do? Should I take it at home? Should I go to a test center? What do I do? So to be honest, it depends. It depends on different factors. Both of them have pros and cons, and I think it's important to discuss them. So for example, Dario, did you take the test in a test center or at home?
In a test center.
Okay. And how was the experience? What did you think of the experience?
I think the cons of taking on a test center is that you are also hearing what your friends are doing. Like I was in a cabin and I was doing the reading and my friend was doing listening. So I was hearing what he was doing. So I think you are not very concentrated. Also, when you're in a cabin, in my case, I can distract pretty easy. But the pros of taking a test on a test center is that you're not going to have problems with the internet, or you have like some breaks. And taking the test in a test center, I think it's also pretty good because you can have the things that uh, you need. But taking the test in your home, you can have, I don't know, your paper or some other things that can help you that you cannot do it on a test center.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dario. That was great. So actually, I don't think I could have said it any better. So yeah, actually, it's exactly what Dario said. So he took the test in a test center, and the biggest con of taking it in a test center, the biggest disadvantage, and usually the main reason why people sometimes go for the home edition version is, as Dario said, because it can be distracting sometimes taking the test in a test center, especially if you're if you're somebody that gets distracted really easily, then it can be a problem. Because just like he said, and it happened to me too, because I took the test in a test center. So they put you in a room and you're taking the test with other people as well. Of course, you have your own desk. Maybe you're in a cabin, I don't know. I think it depends on the test center, but you are in the same room taking the test with other people, and they may not be in sync to what you're doing, right? Maybe you are in the speaking section, you're starting the speaking section, and somebody else is already or is still in the listening, right? Or maybe you're doing the second question of the speaking section and somebody's doing the first, or maybe you're in the listening and somebody's starting the speaking. And although you cannot really hear like the audio files that they are listening, because they do give you headphones and you have to keep them on throughout the entire test, what you can hear is other people speaking, right? Especially when they're doing their speaking sections. You can hear them, and it's also very, I don't know, it's kind of tempting to want to listen to what the other person is doing in their speaking sections because you want to kind of guess what the question is and be prepared beforehand. So it can be a little bit distracting in that sense, right? If you can hear the other person doing their speaking section and you want to know what the question is, so you're like paying attention to that and you're not paying attention to what you should be paying attention to, right? So if you guys are somebody that gets distracted really easily, you have to consider that. Of course, there are things that you can do. Like what I usually suggest is if you guys are going to take the test in a test center, make sure that you always practice or do your simulations with some background noise, right? You have to try to simulate things as realistically as they can be. So you can maybe practice with some background noise, try to get used to having that type of distractions and still focusing on your test, right? But that's usually the biggest disadvantage. I'm going to write it down so that we don't forget. Distractions. Okay, that's like the bad thing. Now, what is the good thing about taking the test in a test center? What's the advantage? The thing is, as Dario said, it's safer in a way. Why is it safer? Because no matter what happens, they will solve every problem that could happen for you. So let's say, like in my case, I was in the listening section and my computer just froze all of a sudden. And I couldn't hear the audio file and it went directly to the questions. And I was freaking out for a moment, but I just asked the proctor, the person who's there helping you, and he was very nice. He asked me to leave the room for a minute. I don't know exactly what he did, but he solved the problem and everything was good, like he solved it for me. I did the question again, everything was perfect. So it's safer in the way that you will never have an experience where maybe you will, I don't know, you lose connection or something happens. And if that were to happen, then they will make it up for you, right? It will never be your fault. It will be like the system's fault. But if you guys take the test in your at home with the home edition test, then well, we don't know, right? What can happen? Maybe you, I don't know, you lose internet connection, or maybe there's a problem with your computer, there's a problem with your camera, with your microphone. Anything could happen with the speaker. Who knows what can happen if you take the test at home, especially if you haven't been careful enough to check many times and to make sure that everything is working perfectly. Then something like that could happen, which makes it a little bit riskier to take the test at home in that sense, right? Especially, and I really don't suggest that you guys take the test at home if you have a very strict deadline that you have to meet. So if you have to submit your TOEFL scores in a specific date and you don't have a lot of time, then it's better to go for a test center because if something happened in the home edition, then there's nothing you can do and you will just lose that chance. So that's the biggest disadvantage of taking the test at home is that is riskier for all of those things that we mentioned. And also, well, this isn't true for everything, but some universities don't accept the home edition version. I don't know why. I think maybe it's because it's something new, probably. I don't know how it's gonna be in the future, but right now there are some universities that don't accept the home edition. What else can I say? You have more dates to choose from. If you take the test at home, then you have a wider variety of options. You can even take the test in the afternoon, which is something you cannot do when you take it in a test center. And so those are the good things, about taking the test at home. Taking notes, I don't know, I think that's something subjective that we could argue about, but it's different. If you take the test in a test center, you take them on paper. But if you take the test at home, then you have to have a whiteboard or a transparent sheet and actually have your notes with a watermark. So I don't know, that's something that you also should know. So that's what we could say, Okay, guys? And depending on your needs, depending on how sure you are, how much access you have to the tools that you need for taking the test at home, depending on whether you're somebody that gets distracted really easily or not, you can make the decision. Okay? So what do you guys think about this? Do you guys have any questions? Is everything clear so far? Yes. Okay, that's great. So moving on. I mean, this is just the reasons why people take the test, and you guys will tell me why you're taking this test. But usually people take it to either apply for universities abroad, for programs abroad, academic programs, um, with a scholarship or without a scholarship, but any type of academic program, right? Internships, for bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, any kind of postgraduate certificate. And sometimes people take it for work-related reasons. So maybe they need it for work, maybe they just want to have it in the resume. It definitely helps, opening certain opportunities in professional field. But there's actually a lot of us. So I'm gonna ask you all to please introduce yourselves. We're gonna go one by one. And I want you guys to tell me just a little bit about you. Tell me, obviously your name, where you're from, where you're living, but especially give me some context as to what has brought you here, so why are you taking this course? Why are you taking the TOEFL exam? What do you need it for? Like what you're doing right now, what you're planning on doing, because usually when people are preparing for this test, it's because they're gonna make some changes, they're gonna take some steps. So tell me if that's your case. And also, I would like to know if you guys need a specific score in the test, because that may be the case for some of you. Maybe you're applying to a certain program and the university that you're applying to is asking you for one specific score in the exam. So let me know if that's your case. Okay, guys? So could we start with Marco, please?
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Marco, as Andrea said, Marco Orellana. I live in Santa Cruz. I'm a systems engineering. Well, I have 49 years old. I see you guys and very young people here. I took the Michigan assessment test, Andrea, a long time ago, almost 20 years ago. And now I want to check out how is my English again. So that's the main reason why I'm taking this course.
Okay, great.
So I don't need any specific score, none of that.
Okay, good. So you just want to see, like, kind of in what level you are?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you been practicing during these past few years?
Not really. I mean, I always read many technical things in English, so that's the good thing about my career. But not speaking, that's hard to start. But I see many movies, almost 100% in English, so I guess it's not too bad my experience now.
Okay. All right, very good. That's really good. Thank you so much, and it's nice to meet you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Now, Dario, you already told us a little bit about you, but please introduce yourself.
Can you give me 1 minute? My internet connection is kindly like lagging. So if I can be like the next person, please.
Yeah, of course. And then let's go for Sophia.
Well, hi everybody. I'm Sofia Talavera. I'm 24 years old. I'm from Santa Cruz, Bolivia, and the reason I'm taking the TOEFL is because I'm wanting to get a visa to go somewhere else as well. So, I need at least 100 points. So that's it.
Okay. So you just won the visa. You're not planning on going. I mean, you're not planning on studying abroad, working abroad.
It all depends about the points. So if I get more points, I will have more opportunities there.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Fair. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Maybe Camila.
Hi, my name is Camila Elizabeth Romero Lopez. I am from Cochabamba, Bolivia. And the reason about TOEFL is I need to improve my my English, and I am taking the exam in the university, and I need to have 62 points to pass my exam.
Okay, good. Do you go to PB by any chance?
Yes, you agree.
Okay, good. So yes, we've had some students who go there. I know that it's a requirement, right, to have your degree.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. Guess what? Now, hold on. Okay, Dario, you can go now.
Okay, I need to take the test because the next year I'm going to United States. I'm going with a green card, and I need to have at least also like 100%, 100 points in the test, and also I need to take the SAT test. And this is because I want to like apply for some scholarship, and yeah, that's it. I'm going to the United States on, I think, spring. I don't know if June or July. And also, I need to like send my notes to the university on November maximum.
Okay. All right. So you're trying to do a bachelor's degree there.
Yes, undergraduate.
Okay. Great. Um, so Rafael, what about you?
Yes, so my name is Rafael. I'm from La Paz, and I also want to take this course to get a scholarship to a university in USA as well. I already did the test, and I get a 75 score, but I need a much higher score, so I'm doing it again. And I would like to get and I will I will try to get a much higher score. So yeah, that's my main objective here, and yeah, that's it.
Okay, good. So Rafael, you're also looking for a scholarship, also for an undergraduate program.
Um, no, not exactly. Like I'm trying to get a scholarship from a like athlete kind of scholarship.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm also to the next year program, and that's kind of it.
Okay, great. So what sport do you do?
Soccer. I play soccer.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Alejandra, what about you?
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Well, my name is Alejandra Sabe. I live in La Paz. The reason that I want to take the TOEFL is because my short-term goal is studying abroad. I was thinking and study a master in UK or Canada. That's two of my many options that I have. So I want to apply a scholarship for that, and for doing that, I need a specific score from 90 to or higher to 90.
Okay.
So that's why I want to prepare myself for that.
Okay, good. 90 euro. Okay, thank you so much, Alejandro. Who else? Miguel?
Good evening, mates. My name is Miguel Ángel Omani Avila. I'm from Santa Cruz, Bolivia. One of the main reasons why I'm taking the course is I want to be awarded by a scholarship. So I need at least 95 points for being awarded. So I'm very thankful for being here. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I'm excited to have you here too. Thank you. And we are missing Paula.
Yes. Hi, my name is Paula Amaya. I'm from Cochabamba, Bolivia, and I'm taking the course because I want to check my level. And also, if the TOEFL can help me in my career, it will be great. So I don't need a specific score on the test, but if it's high, it will be perfect.
Okay, good. Yeah, obviously, the higher the better. That's the attitude we're gonna have. Okay, guys. So everybody went, right? Is there anybody who hasn't introduced themselves? I think not, right? I think we're good. Okay, guys. So I really hope that this course helps you get there and helps you pursue those goals that you guys have. I know that taking the TOEFL test is usually, for most of you, an important step, right? Because you need it for something big. So, you know, I'm gonna do my best, and I guess everybody here, we're all gonna do our best. And as I was saying before, you know, we're gonna see everything that you guys need to know here in this course, but it will require from you to also practice, practice on your own to try to, like, I don't know, like, to try to go beyond, you know, it's always important that you guys try to, I mean, review some material. Sometimes there are things that we cannot do during our classes because we don't have a lot of time. So for example, grammar is something that we're not going to be doing, right? Just to give you an example. And maybe there are some grammar points that you guys need to review. So you have to try to do it as well. So it's important that you're driven, you know, and that you're, especially those of you who need to achieve high scores, then yes, it will require some practice. And also you have to do simulation tests as well, which is something we cannot do just because of the duration of our classes. But yeah, you do need to work. So, do you guys have any questions before we continue? Is everything clear? Okay. Okay, guys, so coming back a little bit into what the test itself is and its format. Well, the first thing that we have to say is that it's not something that happens frequently, but they have changed the structure of the test or the format of the test twice now, right? So they have changed it on August 2019. The test was different before, and they are shortening the test. That's what I'm noticing. Maybe they're trying to like adapt the test to the new, because there's a lot of other tests coming out, right? So maybe they are seeing that there may be other tests that are perhaps more efficient in the sense that they don't need so many questions to evaluate the candidate's level. So first thing we have to make sure that we we know and that we are aware of is that starting July 26th, the format of the test will change, right? There are going to be some format changes, mainly in terms of the duration of the test. So you really do not have to worry too much about changes in the content of the test. Nothing in terms of the content will be different, except for one question in the writing section. Okay, the only thing that is actually going to change is one question in the writing section. That's the only change that has been made, but everything else stays the same in terms of content. Okay, the only thing that will change on July 26th is the duration of each section, right? So they are going to be shorter. They are cutting off a few of the questions that were unnecessary, to be honest. So that's the only thing. Okay, so right now I'm gonna talk to you guys about the current test, the one that you can take right now, the one that is that you can take right now is if you're gonna take it before July the 26th. But don't worry, if you're gonna take the test after that date, it's still okay because in class when we're going over each one of the sections, I will let you know that I will make that comparison, right, between the current test and the new upcoming test that some of you may take. Okay, so don't worry, we're gonna get into the details when we're in each section. Now, as an overview, I can tell you that it is kind of like like Dario was saying, it is a little bit maybe too long. It is 3 hours long right now, and you have 4 sections. You have the reading, listening, speaking, and writing. You're gonna be evaluating these 4 sections, your reading comprehension, listening comprehension, your speaking abilities, and your writing abilities. Each section is different than the other. They are not related at all, which means that you do not have to know anything about the reading to see the speaking or anything about the listening to see the writing. Each one lasts a different amount of time. So the reading and listening are the longest ones, and then you have the writing and finally the speaking in terms of length. You have a break. You have actually a 15-minute break, not a 10-minute break, where that's in between the listening and the speaking sections, where you are allowed to leave the room, to have a snack, to get some fresh air. So you do have that break in between the 3 hours. Now, aside from the timing part, this is something that hasn't changed. What about the score? So as most of you guys probably know, each section is over 30 points, okay? Over 30 points. And we have 4 sections, so that makes a total of 120 being the maximum, the top score that you guys can get. That's the maximum score you can get. Each section is over 30, each section is worth exactly the same. And when you add them all up, that makes your total final score, which is over 120. There is no such thing as failing this exam. There's no, there's not a specific score that you need to have in order to pass it. So don't worry, you can never actually fail this test, but it depends on what you need it for, right? So some of you guys told me that you needed to get 100 or above. Some of you guys told me that you needed to get 90 or above, 95, 85. Somebody said 65, right? So it depends on what your needs are or what you need the test for. It is true that the higher your score, the more opportunities that you can have, but not necessarily either. So there are some programs that don't even require this type of exams. So those are some things we could say. So in general, you just have to know that you have 4 different sections: reading, listening, speaking, and writing. You have a 15-minute break in between the listening and the speaking. Each section is over 30, and which makes a total of 120 being your maximum score. You also need to know that starting July 26th, I'm gonna write that down. The format of the test will be different. The test will be shorter than it is right now. But to be honest, don't worry about that, because as I said before, the content won't change. right? The only thing that will change is the writing section a little bit. We will see those changes when we get to the writing section, but everything else is still the same. Okay, so the only thing that will actually change this day is the format, the duration of each section, but in terms of content, it'll be the same. Okay, guys? So what do you think now? Do you have any questions? Is everything clear?
I have one question.
Okay. Go ahead.
Sorry. So I think that each question also is going to be like it's going to have more score. Like if it's less ratings, each question is going to like
Going to be worth
yes.
more? Okay. It's not gonna make that big of a difference, because what happened is actually in the current test, in the reading and listening sections, you had extra tasks. You had 2 unscored extra questions, which right now are not actually scored. That means that you actually answer those questions, but they won't, I mean, they're obviously gonna see what you answered, but they won't consider that for your scores. You don't know which ones those are, so that means that you just have to answer everything. What they are doing is they are they are not gonna include those questions anymore. So in the new test, you won't have any of those unscored questions, so it won't make such a big difference. Speaking section stays the same, you still have the same amount of questions. And in the writing, although you have a different question, you still have 2. So each one is worth exactly the same.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Miguel, you were saying.
Excuse me, would you recommend to take the test after or before July 26th?
Okay, good question. If you guys have the chance to take it after July 26th, if you don't have a deadline before that, then I would recommend that you take it after, because like one thing is being prepared for each section, but another thing that you also have to consider is that, I think this is related to what you were saying, right? The experience can affect your score. So it's not just about preparing yourself for each section and knowing everything that you have to know and practicing and like mastering each section, but maybe if you haven't, especially if you haven't done enough simulation tests, so maybe you guys are not used to taking such a long test, a 3-hour long test. So that experience can be a little bit overwhelming. Sometimes you start pretty good in the reading section, you get a little bit tired and bored by your listening. Then the speaking, you already want to go home, and the writing, you're like just with that mindset of let's get this over with. So that may affect your score in a way, right? And it's different. It's obviously better if each section is shorter. It's convenient. It's more convenient for you guys. And another thing, the new writing question, the one that is replacing the previous one, to me is easier than the current one. So I would say that the test will be easier. Maybe, I don't know. I think it's yet to be found out. We don't know if they are maybe gonna try to make up for these changes by increasing the difficulty of the questions, right? We don't know that. So I don't know. It depends. I don't think they're gonna do that because it wouldn't be fair. But if you guys have the chance, then the experience will be a lot better if you take it after July 26th. So if I were to take the test again, then I take it after July 26th. Any other question? No other questions? Okay. Okay, guys. So please take a screenshot of this slide. Here's our calendar. This is how we're gonna be organizing the course, the 6 weeks that we have. On week number 1, that is this week, we're gonna be starting with the speaking section. So we will start in the speaking section, we'll finish in the listening section. We're not gonna start in the reading, but this won't affect any at all the course, because as I said before, you don't need to know anything about the reading to do the speaking per se. So it's all good. We'll start in the speaking section, then we'll do writing, we'll do reading, and we'll do listening. I know that we are gonna spend more time in the speaking and writing sections, but that's because the speaking and writing sections contain more questions that are different among each other. In the reading and listening, everything's multiple choice, everything's the same practically, but the speaking and writing, do require like at least one class to see each section's format, each question's format, and at least one practice session to practice that specific question. So that's why we spend more time in the speaking and writing. Okay. So are you guys okay with that? Do you have any questions?
No, for now. Thank you, Andrea.
Okay, and one more thing before we go. You guys have access to 12, 15-minute sessions, just like the one we're having right now. When I say calls, they're not really calls, they are Zoom meetings, just like the one we're having right now, but they are individual meetings. So during these 12, 15-minute sessions, what we're gonna be doing is focusing on practicing the speaking section. Speaking requires a lot of practice, maybe more than reading and listening. And another thing is that it is harder to practice the speaking section alone. When you practice reading and listening and writing, most of the time they are automatically scored, right? In terms of the listening and reading. But when you have speaking, then at least in the beginning, you do need some feedback. You do need somebody there telling you maybe what things you should be working on, what things you could be changing in your responses, and so forth. So that's why we have these speaking sessions. Okay, they are just Zoom meetings, like the one we have right now. They are individual, they are one-on-one. So it's just gonna be one of you guys and me, and we'll be practicing the speaking section. Now you have access to 12 of these sessions. Each one lasts 15 minutes. And you need to make sure that you finish your 12 sessions by the time that you finish the course, because otherwise you won't be able to continue with the sessions after the course is over. If you do the math, you have 12 sessions for 6 weeks. Ideally, you would be taking at least 2 sessions in a week, but you can have more sessions if you want. You can have fewer sessions if you want. It's up to you how you organize. The only rules are don't take more than 1 session a day, so you cannot book 2 sessions the same day. And second rule, finish your 12 sessions before the course is over. Okay, those are the only rules. Now, in terms of as for the technical part goes, and probably you're wondering, so what do I do with this? How do I book my sessions? How do I start? Don't worry about that part. The coordinator of the program, Carilis, will be sending you guys a text message where you will find in a PDF. It's a document, a PDF document, where you have like a tutorial, everything explained step by step how to book these sessions. So you will have that material very soon, probably today or tomorrow, so that you can start booking your sessions already. Don't worry right now about that technical part. I just wanted you to know that you have access to these sessions, and I just wanted to personally suggest that you book the sessions. There are some students who don't book the sessions, but if you guys wanna like really make progress in the speaking section, then you do need to practice with somebody that can give you some feedback. Okay? So, questions? No? Guys? So one last tiny thing, please, before you go, you will find a survey on your screens. It's about today's class, and we'll be doing it every class. So could you please fill that out for me before you go? And I will see you guys tomorrow night.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, thank you.